Maya Rodriguez's back slammed against the mahogany door as three identical faces closed in on her, their dark eyes burning with promises that made her pulse hammer against her ribs. The wedding rings on her left hand suddenly felt like shackles, each band pressing into her skin as a reminder of what she'd signed away. The contract states consummation within 7 days. Minjun said, his accented English smooth as whiskey, dangerous as poison. Tonight is night one. Her white silk nightgown felt transparent under their combined gaze. I'm not ready, Maya whispered, hating how her voice trembled. Then we'll make you ready, Ji-hoon replied,
ready or not, Mrs.
stepping
Park,
closer.
by the end of this
Because
week,
ready
you'll
or
belong
not,
to us
Mrs. Park, by the end of this week, you'll belong to us completely. Hello, besties. Happy New Year. Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also turn on the notification button so you won't miss out on more intense stories like this. 24 hours earlier, Maya had sat beside her father's hospital bed in County General, watching monitors track his weakening heartbeat while collection agencies systematically destroyed what remained of their lives. The cardiac arrest had buried them under $200,000 in medical debt. Her mother's small hair salon in the Bronx couldn't generate enough revenue to cover even the interest payments. Their modest home in Queens faced foreclosure within 60 days. Her younger sister Isabella's college acceptance letter sat on their kitchen table, worthless, without the funds to accept it. They were drowning in a system designed to let people like them sink, and Maya was the only one strong enough to grab the lifeline being offered, no matter how poisonous it appeared. Miss Rodriguez. The attorney had materialized beside her father's bed like an answer to desperate prayers, though Maya's instinct screamed he might be something much darker. His suit cost more than her father's yearly salary before the heart attack. My name is Thomas Chun. I represent the Park family. They have an unusual proposition for someone in your particular circumstances. Maya had looked at her father's gray face, at the machines keeping him alive, at the stack of medical bills on the side table that grew taller every day. I'm listening. The proposition defied every rational thought in her mind. Marry 3 brothers, Korean-American heirs to a powerful crime family who needed a wife to satisfy their traditional grandmother's final wish before she died. 1 year of marriage, complete discretion, 0 contact with their criminal operations, and in return, every single debt erased. Her father's medical expenses covered permanently, transferred to a private facility with the best cardiac care on the East Coast. Her mother's salon debt eliminated. Isabella's full 4-year scholarship to Columbia funded, plus $500,000 deposited in Maya's account when the marriage contract concluded after 12 months. Why me specifically? Maya had asked. Every survival instinct her Bronx upbringing had taught her, screaming that nothing this perfect came without brutal strings attached. What makes me worth this much money to your clients? Attorney Chen had adjusted his glasses, choosing his words with legal precision. You meet their specific requirements. 25 years old, unmarried, no criminal history, financially desperate enough to agree to unconventional terms, and, he paused meaningfully, inexperienced in intimate relationships. Their grandmother maintains very traditional values regarding purity. She requires assurance that the marriage is legitimate in every sense, including physical consummation verified by medical examination. Heat had flooded Maya's face and neck. You mean virgin? You specifically need a virgin. Mrs. Park is 93 years old and dying. She holds certain beliefs about family honor and traditional marriage that her grandsons wish to honor in her final months. The verification is non-negotiable. Chun had pulled out a thick contract, tabs marking sections requiring initials and signatures. You would undergo a medical examination before the wedding and again 1 week after to confirm consummation has occurred. I understand this feels invasive and archaic, but these are the terms. Maya should have refused. Should have thrown the contract in his face and found another way to save her family. But watching her father struggle for each breath, remembering her mother's exhausted tears as she worked 16-hour days that still weren't enough, seeing Isabella's dreams crumbling because their father's heart had betrayed them, Maya had picked up the pen. She'd read through the contract, or tried to. The legal language was dense, deliberately obscure. She caught the key points. Marriage to Minjun, Ji-hoon, and Taeyong Park simultaneously, legal under specific traditional circumstances. 12-month minimum term. Complete financial resolution of all Rodriguez family debts. Housing provided in the Park family penthouse. Monthly stipend for personal expenses. Consummation required and verified. Discretion mandatory regarding family business operations. Termination clause allowing her to leave after 1 year with full payment or option to extend indefinitely by mutual agreement. What exactly is the family business? Maya had asked, though she already suspected the answer. Import-export, real estate development, entertainment ventures, and various other investments. The specifics are not your concern under the terms of this agreement. You will have no involvement in business operations. Your role is strictly as wife to satisfy Mrs. Park's requirements for her grandsons to be properly settled before her death. A translation: organized crime that Maya was better off not knowing details about. She'd grown up in the Bronx. She recognized mob lawyers when she saw them. She'd signed anyway, initialed every page, signed every line, sold herself to save her family, because that's what you did when the people you loved were dying and you had something valuable enough to trade. Even if that something was your body, your freedom, your future. The wedding ceremony 3 days later had been surreal, almost sterile in its efficiency. Judge Williams, Attorney Chun, 3 brothers in matching black suits who Maya barely looked at during the vows, and Maya in a simple white dress her mother had sewn with trembling hands and tears streaming down her face. She'd barely registered their faces during the ceremony, too overwhelmed by the impossible reality of marrying 3 men simultaneously. Grandmother Park had observed from her wheelchair, satisfaction gleaming in ancient eyes that missed nothing. She'd spoken in Korean, words Maya didn't understand, but the tone was clear. Approval, possession, victory. Each brother had slid a ring onto Maya's finger. 3 platinum bands, each engraved with Korean characters she couldn't read. 3 vows spoken in accented English. 3 kisses on her cheek, chaste and formal, that somehow felt more intimate than they should have. Then they'd brought her here, to this penthouse in Manhattan that probably cost more than her entire neighborhood in the Bronx. Left her alone to change into the white silk nightgown someone had laid out on the bed in her designated room. Given her an hour to process, to panic, to realize exactly what she'd agreed to. Now they stood before her, 3 identical faces that she was beginning to distinguish. The one in the center, Min-jun, who'd spoken first about the contract, clearly the leader. Hair swept back severely from his face, expression hard and commanding. The one on his left, Ji-hoon, hair parted precisely on the side, watching her with something almost gentle in his dark eyes despite the hunger there. And Taeyong on the right, hair falling slightly forward, the hint of a smile playing at his mouth like he found her fear amusing but not unpleasant. All 3 were devastating. Easily 6'2" or 6'3", builds suggesting serious dedication to physical training. Sharp jawlines, full lips, eyes so dark they appeared black in the dim lighting. They wore matching black slacks and white shirts with sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that made Maya's mouth go dry despite her fear. I understand this overwhelms you, Ji-hoon said, his voice gentler than Min-jun's command, almost apologetic. We won't hurt you, Maya. That's a promise we make right now. We will never cause you pain. But we will make you scream, Taeyong added, that slight smile widening just enough to show teeth. From pleasure, not pain. Important distinction to make clear from the start. I don't want this, Maya blurted, hating how her voice shook but unable to control it. I know I signed the contract, but I didn't understand. I didn't realize it meant tonight. I thought I'd have time to adjust, to prepare mentally. This is too fast. Min-jun pulled out his phone, scrolling with deliberate slowness that made Maya's stomach clench. The contract explicitly states in Section 7, Paragraph 3, the marriage must be legitimate in all aspects, including physical intimacy, to satisfy Mrs. Park's requirements and ensure full payment of agreed terms. Consummation must occur within 7 days of the wedding ceremony and be verified by medical examination conducted by Mrs. Park's personal physician. He looked up from the phone, eyes hard. You signed this, Maya. You agreed to these terms. Maya's stomach dropped like she'd been pushed off a building. She had read the contract, or skimmed it, but the dense legal language combined with her desperation had obscured the timeline. 7 days. She'd assumed she'd have weeks, maybe months to adjust to this insanity. Not hours. I'm not ready, she said, pressing harder against the door, wishing she could melt through it and disappear. I've never been with anyone. I don't know how to do this. I don't even know you. We know. All three brothers said simultaneously, the unified response somehow more unsettling than if one had spoken. That's partially why you were selected. That's disgusting, Maya snapped, anger cutting through fear like a hot knife. You specifically wanted a virgin like this is the 15th century? What kind of archaic, misogynistic nonsense is that? Our grandmother is 93, Ji-hoon explained, stepping slightly forward, hands visible and non-threatening. She was born in Korea in 1933, survived the Korean War, immigrated here in the 60s with nothing. She maintains very traditional values about family, honor, and marriage. She wanted assurance that her grandson's wife was untouched, pure in her definition. We didn't create these requirements, Maya. We're simply fulfilling them to give her peace before she dies. Why do you even need a wife? Maya demanded, grasping for understanding, for something that made this make sense. You're obviously wealthy, powerful, attractive. You could have any woman you wanted. Why this elaborate contract arrangement? Why me? The three brothers exchanged significant glances, conducting one of those silent conversations that identical siblings seemed capable of. Then Minjun spoke, his voice carrying weight that suggested this truth cost him something to share. Our grandmother is dying. Perhaps 3 months remain according to her doctors, possibly less. Her final wish before she passes is seeing us married, settled, continuing the family line. We've disappointed her significantly in the past. This is our last opportunity to give her peace, to prove we can be the men she raised us to be instead of the monsters our business sometimes requires. What did you do? Maya asked, studying their faces. What disappointment was so bad that you need this to make up for it? That's irrelevant to tonight, Taeyong said, but something flickered in his eyes.
Guilt. Shame.
Pain buried deep, but not deep enough to hide completely. Maya's back pressed harder against the door, her heart hammering so loudly she was certain they could hear it. Please don't touch me. I'm scared. I'm not ready for this. All three brothers stopped moving immediately, freezing in place like she'd thrown up a force field. We're not rapists, Minjun said firmly, voice hard as steel. Everything that happens tonight, everything that will happen during this marriage, occurs with your consent. That's non-negotiable. We might be criminals, Maya, but we have honor. But you said the contract requires consummation, Maya pointed out, confused by the contradiction. You said within 7 days I have to let you. She couldn't finish the sentence, couldn't say the words out loud. The contract requires consummation, yes. Ji-hoon agreed, moving slowly to the sofa and sitting, deliberately making himself less threatening. But that doesn't mean we force you. It means we seduce you. We convince you. We make you want this as much as we do. There's a significant difference. I won't want it, Maya insisted, though even as she said the words, she felt her body betraying her. The way her pulse had jumped when they'd closed in on her. The heat that had flooded through her when Taeyong mentioned making her scream. The unwanted awareness of how devastatingly attractive they were. I don't even know you. How could I possibly want this? Then let us introduce ourselves properly, Taeyong said, following Ji-hoon's lead and sitting on the opposite end of the sofa, leaving the space between them deliberately empty. Sit with us, Maya. Talk with us. Let us explain what this year actually entails, what we're offering beyond just the contract terms. No touching unless you explicitly give permission. Just conversation.
Can you do that?
Against every screaming instinct telling her to run, to fight, to escape, Maya slowly moved to the armchair across from the sofa. She sat on the edge, spine rigid, ready to bolt if they made any sudden moves. The brothers settled back, body language open and non-threatening despite the intensity that still burned in their eyes. First, Minjun began, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. You should understand that we take this marriage seriously. You're not merely a contract to us, not just a means to satisfy our grandmother's dying wish. You're our wife. That means something significant in our culture, in our family structure. It means you're under our protection. Ji-hoon continued, his gentle voice somehow more compelling than Min-jun's authority. Anyone who threatens you threatens us. Anyone who harms you answers to us. Anyone who even looks at you wrong will learn very quickly that Mrs. Park is not someone whose safety or happiness we take lightly. And it means, Taeyong finished, that slight smile returning but warmer now, less predatory. We're committed to your happiness, your safety, your well-being for this year and potentially beyond, depending on how things develop between us. The contract specifies 1 year, Maya said, clinging to that certainty like a life raft. After 12 months, I'm free to leave with my money. That's what I signed for. The contract specifies minimum 1 year. Min-jun corrected, pulling out his phone again and scrolling. Section 12, paragraph 1. This agreement shall remain in effect for a minimum period of 12 months from the date of marriage. Upon completion of the initial term, all parties may mutually agree to extend the arrangement indefinitely or transition to permanent marriage status if emotional attachment has developed. You could stay, Maya. If this becomes real instead of purely transactional, if feelings develop on both sides, you could choose to remain our wife permanently. Maya's heart stuttered painfully in her chest. You mean actually stay married? Like forever? Have your children? Become part of your family for real? If we fall in love, Ji-hoon said simply, like he was discussing the weather instead of something that turned Maya's entire understanding of this arrangement inside out. If what starts as business becomes genuine, it's possible. Our entire family empire was built on possibilities everyone else claimed were impossible. Your family built an empire on crime, Maya corrected sharply, needing to ground herself in reality instead of whatever fantasy they were spinning. Let's not romanticize what you actually do. Min-jun's lips curved into something approximating a smile, though it didn't reach his eyes. You're absolutely correct. We're criminals. Our grandfather started with protection rackets in Koreatown back in the 70s. Our father expanded into gambling, smuggling, money laundering, loan sharking. We've diversified even further into import-export, real estate development, entertainment venues, cryptocurrency. Some of it's legal. Most of it isn't. We're not good men, Maya. We've done terrible things to build and maintain what we have. Why tell me this? Maya asked, genuinely confused. Shouldn't you keep your criminal activities secret? Isn't that like Mafia rule number 1? You're our wife, Ji-hoon said, as if that explained everything. That makes you family. Family knows everything about our operations. Family is trusted with information that could destroy us if shared with authorities. And family never, ever betrays each other. That's the actual rule number 1. The weight of those words settled over Maya like a heavy blanket, warm and suffocating simultaneously. I didn't sign up to join a crime family, she said, hearing the weakness in her protest. I signed up to help my father pay medical bills and walk away after a year with enough money to start over. Plans change, Taeyong said softly, eyes locked on hers with disconcerting intensity. Feelings develop. Loyalties shift. You might discover you enjoy being a Park, enjoy the protection and power and family that comes with our name. You might find that walking away after a year becomes significantly harder than you anticipated. I'm still a Rodriguez, Maya shot back, lifting her left hand where 3 platinum bands gleamed against her brown skin. The contract allows me to keep my name. I'm not giving up my identity. For now, Min-jun said, standing and moving slowly toward her. Maya tensed, but he stopped several feet away, respecting her space. But you're wearing our rings, sleeping in our home, about to share our bed. At what point does Rodriguez become just a memory and Park become your true identity? At what point do you stop being Maya who married them and become Maya who belongs with them? Maya looked down at her left hand where 3 platinum bands gleamed against her skin. What do they say? She asked quietly. The Korean characters. What do the rings say? Min-jun held up his own hand, showing a matching band. Mine says strength. I'm eldest by 4 minutes. I handle strategy, leadership, the difficult decisions that keep our family safe and our operations profitable. Ji-hoon displayed his ring next, the engraving catching the light. Mine says wisdom. I'm middle. I handle negotiations, alliances, maintaining peace between our various operations and partner organizations. I'm the diplomat when Minjun's strength isn't the answer. Taeyong's ring gleamed as he raised his hand. Mine says heart. I'm youngest by 6 minutes. I handle the people, the relationships, ensuring we don't lose our humanity in this business. I'm the conscience when we need reminding that we're more than just the violence and money. And mine? Maya asked, though something in her already knew the answer. Yours says home. All three brothers said simultaneously, their voices blending into something almost reverent. Because that's what you are to us now. Home. The place we return to. The person who grounds us. The reason we get up every morning and face the darkness of what we do, because we know we're coming back to you. Maya felt tears threatening, burning hot behind her eyes. You don't even know me, she whispered, voice breaking. How can I possibly be your home when you don't know anything about me except that I was desperate enough to sign your contract? We know enough, Ji-hoon said, his voice gentle but firm. We know you love your family so intensely that you married 3 strangers to save them. We know you're frightened, but brave enough to face that fear head-on instead of collapsing. We know you challenge us instead of simply submitting, which is exactly what we need. That's more than enough to begin with, Maya. Everything else, all the details of who you are, we'll learn together. Look, I know the story is hitting different right now. The tension, the emotion, the impossible choices Maya is facing. But here's the thing, if you're not subscribed, you're going to miss what happens next. And trust me when I say that what's coming will absolutely wreck you in the best way possible. These 3 brothers are about to show Maya exactly what they mean by seduction, and you do not want to miss a single moment. So, do yourself a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and drop a comment telling me if you could handle being in Maya's position. Because the real story is just getting started, and I need to know you're with me for this journey. Don't be that person who misses out and then regrets it later.
Subscribe now.
Can I touch you? Taeyong asked, standing slowly and moving toward her with careful, deliberate movements. Just your hand. Nothing more. I want to see if you feel it too. Feel what? Maya asked, though her body was already responding to his proximity, pulse jumping, skin heating. The connection. The electricity between us. The thing that made us know you were ours the second we saw your photograph. There's no electricity, Maya said, but her voice wavered, betraying her. Then you have nothing to fear from letting me hold your hand, Taeyong said reasonably, stopping in front of her and extending his palm up, offering rather than taking. If there's nothing between us, it's just skin touching skin. Meaningless. Slowly, fighting against every self-preservation instinct screaming at her, Maya placed her hand in his. The moment their skin connected, she gasped. It wasn't exactly electricity, more like heat spreading from where they touched, up her arm, through her chest, settling low in her belly in a way that made her shift uncomfortably in her seat. You feel it, Taeyong said, satisfaction coloring his voice as his fingers closed gently around hers. Don't lie and claim you don't. I can see it in your eyes, feel it in how your pulse just jumped. I feel something, Maya admitted reluctantly, unable to deny what was obvious. That doesn't mean I want to sleep with you. That doesn't mean I'm ready for what you're asking. Not yet, Minjun said, appearing at her other side so smoothly she hadn't noticed him moving. But you will be. May I? He held out his hand, mirroring Taeyong's earlier request. Maya knew she should refuse, should maintain boundaries, should remember this was purely business despite whatever her traitorous body was feeling. Instead, she placed her free hand in Minjun's. The heat doubled, intensified, spreading faster through her system until she felt flushed and slightly dizzy. Ji-hoon moved behind her chair, his hands gentle on her shoulders, careful not to grip too tightly. The heat tripled, became almost overwhelming when all 3 touched her simultaneously. This is what we felt the instant we saw your photograph, Ji-hoon said softly, his breath warm against her ear in a way that made her shiver. Our attorney showed us 50 candidates. Women who fit grandmother's requirements, who needed money desperately enough to agree to this arrangement, who might be able to fulfill the contract. But when we saw you, all 3 of us knew immediately, unanimously, you were ours. That's not how attraction works, Maya protested weakly, even as her body contradicted every word by leaning into their touches, seeking more contact despite her fear. That's not how any of this works. You can't just see a picture and know. And yet here we are, Minjun said, lifting her hand to his lips and pressing a kiss to her knuckles that sent shivers cascading down her spine like dominoes falling. Three men who've never agreed on anything significant, completely unanimous in wanting you. We've been with other women, Maya. Separately, never together, never like this. But none of them felt right. None of them felt like home. None of them made us feel like you do. If you're still watching, I need you to understand something. This story gets so much more intense from here. Maya is about to make choices that will change her life forever, and the Park brothers are going to show her exactly what it means to belong to them. But I can't keep bringing you these stories if you don't support the channel. It takes hours to craft these narratives, to build these worlds, to make you feel every emotion Maya is feeling right now. So if you're enjoying this, if you're invested in what happens next, the least you can do is hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Don't be the person who watches for free and never supports. That's not who you are. Show me you're here for this journey. Subscribe now, and let's continue Maya's story together. I need time, Maya said, pulling her hands free and immediately missing the warmth, which only made her more confused and frustrated. I need to process all of this. Can we not do anything tonight? Please. The brothers exchanged those silent glances again, conducting entire conversations without words. Then they nodded in unison. We'll give you tonight, Minjun said, stepping back and giving her space. But Maya, the contract requires consummation within the first week of marriage. Grandmother's doctor will verify it on day 7. That's non-negotiable. Maya's face flamed hot with humiliation. Verify it how exactly? What kind of invasive examination are we talking about? Medical examination, Ji-hoon said gently, like that somehow made it less mortifying. I know it's invasive and archaic and probably feels violating, but it's required by the contract you signed. Grandmother wants proof the marriage is legitimate in every sense. I didn't read every single detail, Maya said miserably, feeling tears threaten again. I was desperate.
My father was dying.
I would have signed anything to save him. We know, Taeyong said, his voice soft with something that sounded almost like sympathy. That's why we're giving you time to adjust, to process, to prepare yourself mentally. But you need to understand that by the end of this week, one way or another, you'll no longer be a virgin. That's non-negotiable. It's going to happen. The finality in his voice should have terrified Maya. Instead, it sent a different kind of shiver through her body, one she absolutely refused to examine too closely. How does it happen? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. Do you all just take turns? Is that how this works? That's crude, Minjun said, frowning like she'd insulted him. We're not animals, Maya. We're your husbands. When we make love to you, it will be because you want us, because you're ready, because you're begging us for it. I won't beg, Maya said firmly, lifting her chin defiantly. You will, all three brothers said together, their voices holding dark promises that made heat pool low in Maya's belly. We'll make absolutely certain of it. They stood, moving in synchronized harmony toward the door. Your room is through there, Minjun said, gesturing to a door Maya hadn't noticed before. Everything you need has been provided. Clothes in your size, toiletries, anything you might want. There's a lock on the door if it makes you feel safer, though we'd never enter without explicit permission. Our rooms are on this same floor, Ji-hoon added, pausing at the threshold. If you need anything during the night, anything at all, just call for us. We're here for you, Maya. Not just for sex, for whatever you need. And Maya, Taeyong said, turning back to look at her with those intense dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her defenses. Sweet dreams. Dream of us. Dream of what it will feel like when you finally surrender to this, to us, to what you know is inevitable. Maya fled into the bedroom, closing the door and leaning against it, her heart racing wildly. The room was enormous, decorated in soft creams and golds, dominated by a bed that could easily accommodate 4 people. A bed designed for exactly what was coming, for when her week of grace ended and she had to fulfill the contract she'd signed. She moved to the window, gazing out at Manhattan's glittering skyline. Somewhere out there, her father slept peacefully in a private hospital room at Mount Sinai instead of dying in a public ward at County General. Her mother was safe in their house in Queens, rescued from foreclosure, the salon debt eliminated. Isabella was planning her future at Columbia, fully funded, dreams intact instead of crumbling. And all it cost was Maya's freedom, her body, her future. Was it worth it?
She didn't know.
But as she touched her lips, remembering the heat of Taeyong's hand, the intensity of Minjun's gaze, the gentleness of Jihoon's touch, she wondered if maybe, possibly insanely, this might become more than just a sacrifice. Maybe it could become something she actually wanted instead of just endured. Maya didn't sleep. She lay in that enormous bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the evening until her mind spun in circles that led nowhere. Around 3 in the morning, footsteps paused outside her door. She held her breath, waiting for a knock that never came, for someone to test the lock she'd engaged. After a long moment, the footsteps retreated quietly. Even while respecting her space, they were checking on her, making sure she was okay. The thought shouldn't have been comforting.
It was.
Morning arrived with soft light filtering through cream curtains that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent used to. She found clothes laid out in the walk-in closet, designer labels in her exact size. Jeans that fit perfectly, silk blouses in colors that complemented her skin tone, casual dresses that somehow managed to be both modest and subtly sexy. Everything perfectly chosen for her taste, her style, her body. How much research had they conducted before making their offer? How long had they been watching her, learning her, planning this? She showered in the marble bathroom using products that smelled expensive and felt luxurious against her skin, then dressed in dark jeans and a soft sweater, trying to feel normal in this surreal situation. When she emerged, following the smell of coffee and something sweet, she found Jihoon at the stove preparing what looked like blueberry pancakes, while Taeyong set the table with careful precision. Minjun sat reading a newspaper, looking like he'd stepped out of a magazine in his perfectly tailored charcoal suit. "Good morning," Jihoon said, turning to smile at her warmly. "I hope you like blueberry pancakes. I made them American style since I thought you might miss familiar food. There's also fresh fruit, bacon if you want it, coffee or tea, whatever you prefer." "You cook?" Maya asked, surprised enough to forget her nervousness for a moment. "All 3 of us do," Taeyong said, pouring fresh squeezed orange juice into crystal glasses. "Our mother insisted when we were young. She said men who couldn't feed themselves were useless, that we needed to be self-sufficient in all things. It's one of the few lessons from childhood that actually stuck with us." "Your mother," Maya said carefully, sitting at the table because standing felt awkward. "Where is she now?" The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees instantly. Minjun set down his newspaper, expression hardening into something cold and dangerous. Jihoon's hands stilled on the spatula. Taeyong's jaw clenched visibly. "Dead," Minjun said flatly, voice devoid of emotion in a way that suggested he felt too much to show any. 15 years ago. Murdered by rivals who wanted to destroy our father by taking what he loved most. They succeeded. "I'm so sorry," Maya whispered, genuine sympathy flooding through her. Whatever these men were, whatever they'd done, losing a mother to violence was a pain she couldn't imagine. "Don't be," Jihoon said, bringing a plate of perfect golden pancakes to the table, though his smile had disappeared. "We avenged her. Every single person involved in her death no longer exists. It took us 5 years to track them all down, but we were thorough. We made sure they understood exactly why they were dying before we killed them." The casual way he said it, like discussing the weather instead of systematic murder, sent chills racing down Maya's spine. These men were killers. Not theoretical criminals from a contract, but actual murderers who had hunted down and executed people in revenge. And she was married to them. "You're afraid again," Taeyong observed, studying her face with unsettling accuracy. "I can see it in your eyes, the way your shoulders tensed. Don't be afraid, Maya. We'd never hurt you. You're ours to protect, not harm." But you hurt other people, Maya said, needing to understand. You kill people. How am I supposed to just accept that? People who threaten what's ours, Minjun corrected, leaning forward with intensity burning in his dark eyes. There's a significant difference. In our world, you protect your own or you lose everything. Family, territory, respect, life itself. We choose protection. Always. We'd rather be monsters who keep our family safe than good men who watch helplessly as everything we love gets destroyed. Is that what I am now? Maya asked, forcing herself to hold his gaze. Something you own? Property to protect like territory or money? You're our wife, Ji-hoon said firmly, setting down his spatula to look directly at her. That's not ownership, Maya. That's partnership. That's family. You're part of us now whether you fully accept it yet or not. And family is worth more than territory, more than money, more than anything else in this world. We'd burn down our entire empire if that's what keeping you safe required. They ate in tense silence, the pancakes delicious and perfectly fluffy, but Maya barely tasted them. Her mind raced with questions, fears, and that strange heat that kept building whenever the brothers looked at her in certain ways. Grandmother wants to meet you today, Minjun said finally, setting down his coffee cup with deliberate precision. She's at the family estate in Westchester. We'll go this afternoon. She's eager to see the woman who finally got us to settle down. What do I say to her? Maya asked, panic rising in her chest. How do I act? What does she expect from me? Like our wife, Taeyong said simply, reaching across the table to touch her hand briefly. Respectful, but not submissive. She respects strength, Maya. Show her you have a spine. She'll appreciate that more than fake deference. And don't mention this is temporary, Ji-hoon added, his expression serious. As far as grandmother knows, this is forever. A real love match. She can't know about the contract or the arrangement. It would break her heart, and she doesn't have enough time left for her heart to be broken. But it's not forever, Maya protested. It's 1 year. That's what we agreed to. It could be forever. All three brothers said in unison, and Maya was starting to really hate when they did that. If you choose to stay. If this becomes real instead of just business. The Park family estate wasn't what Maya expected. Instead of some gaudy mansion, it was a beautiful traditional Korean compound hidden behind walls and sophisticated security. As they drove through the gates, Maya saw carefully maintained gardens, koi ponds, and buildings that looked like they'd been transported directly from Seoul, nestled among the modern security systems and cameras. This is where we grew up, Ji-hoon explained as they walked toward the main house, his hand gentle on Maya's lower back, guiding her. Grandmother lives in the ancestral wing. She refuses to modernize it, says it dishonors our heritage, disrespects the sacrifices our family made to build what we have. What's she like? Maya asked nervously, smoothing down her dress for the 100th time. Really like, beyond terrifying? Terrifying is accurate, Taeyong said honestly, though there was affection in his voice. But she's also fiercely loyal to family. If she likes you, she'll protect you like you're her own blood. She'll move heaven and earth to ensure your safety and happiness. And if she doesn't like me? Maya asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted the answer. Then we protect you anyway, Minjun said firmly, stopping to look at her directly. From anyone, including her. Grandmother Park sat in a high-backed chair that looked more like a throne, dressed in traditional hanbok of deep purple silk, her white hair pulled back severely from a face that showed every one of her 93 years. But her eyes were sharp, missing absolutely nothing as Maya entered and bowed as Ji-hoon had instructed during the drive. So this is the girl, Grandmother said in Korean, her voice surprisingly strong. Minjun translated quietly for Maya's benefit. This is the one who finally got my grandsons to settle down. Yes, Grandmother, Minjun answered in Korean. This is Maya Rodriguez, our wife. Grandmother's eyes raked over Maya with clinical precision, assessing, evaluating, judging. She's beautiful. Good hips for bearing children. Strong shoulders. Good skin. You chose well, even if she's not Korean. Maya felt like livestock being evaluated at auction, but she kept her expression neutral, spine straight, refusing to show how uncomfortable this made her. Does she speak Korean? Grandmother asked, still in her native language. Not yet, Ji-hoon answered. But we'll teach her. She's intelligent. She'll learn quickly. She should learn immediately, grandmother said sharply. A park wife who can't speak Korean is useless to this family. How will she raise proper Korean children if she can't speak the language? Grandmother switched to heavily accented English, fixing Maya with those sharp eyes. You, girl, come closer to me. Maya approached slowly, heart pounding so hard she was certain everyone could hear it. Grandmother reached out with surprisingly strong hands, taking Maya's left hand and examining it with the same clinical precision she'd used for visual assessment. Soft hands, grandmother observed, running her thumb over Maya's palm. Not a worker's hands. What did your family do before you married my grandsons? My mother runs a hair salon in the Bronx, Maya said, forcing her voice to remain steady. My father was a construction manager before his heart attack put him in the hospital. Poor then, grandmother said bluntly. That's why you agreed to this arrangement. They paid your family's debts. The bluntness stung, but Maya met grandmother's eyes directly.
Yes.
I agreed to save my family from bankruptcy and my father from dying in a public hospital. I won't apologize for loving my family enough to sacrifice for them.